How good are you at being in the middle of something? Like, what's your tolerance like? Hey everyone, I am Hannah. You are listening to Let's Talk People, a podcast about my messy musings as a trained counselor. And today I want to talk about middle management, the other kind, not like in a company kind. I've actually been thinking about how to talk about this for a few days now. This idea of being in the middle and what it feels like to be in the middle of something. And like how to manage yourself and manage the middle when you're in the middle of something. And by middle, I mean anything. In the middle of a movie, like can you sit still, or are you like me and you grab your phone and just like double screen? Can you be in the middle of a book, or also like me, do you start skimming when it gets really good so you can just like find out how it ends already? Or even being in the middle of this pandemic, or in the middle of your workday, or that really long Zoom meeting I was stuck in and just wishing it would end, maybe. There are so many middles we're in right now, so many. And then in the middle of all the bigger middles, like the global pandemic middles and the national economy is the worst middles, we have our own like little middles, right? The arguments and the lunches and the Zoom friend meetings, and in my case the Korean soap operas, and maybe YouTubes and podcasts and work days and evenings and dinners and delivery. And some middles are way better than other middles, right? Like I would so prefer to be smack in the middle of a new episode of Killing Eve than I would like a work meeting. But both are still, there's so much anxiety with either of them. I mean, with an episode of Killing Eve, sure, like I don't have to manage the way, right? I don't have to find the way out. I get the thrill without the responsibility of having to solve it. And with a client meeting or a phone call you're in the middle of and trying to get out, it's on you. Like it's on me to find the exit. But the middle is the middle, right? And the middle it's like being in the dark with the lights off. It's anxiety and it's finding your way and like fumbling around for the light switch. It is so uncertain. It's this limbo that we're hanging in, and it might be linear. And if it is, then great. But it also might be like a complete maze. And if it is a maze, then I'm going to do everything in my power to make the path less windy and more linear and more predictable, and take that big project at work and chop it up into smaller like to-dos that have really, really tiny middles rather than a big scary one. It's why I give myself these little tasks so I can have quick wins, but really I just mean quick relief from these like agonizing middles. I mean, we spend so much of our life managing middles, actually, like just making them smaller and more bearable and more familiar and more comfortable, because otherwise they're just like laden with anxiety. Middle management is really just anxiety management, and anxiety management actually has nothing to do with managing your anxiety so the anxiety stays in line, right? It's actually about managing yourself. It's about bracing yourself to learn anxiety, so anxiety doesn't throw you for a loop. So that you don't like freak out and then just sort of stay stuck in the middle. Because, if that work thing that you thought would be like pretty straightforward is actually way more work and way more confusing, you know how to manage yourself in that anxiety, in that middle. And then on the flip side, what happens when you're thrown into so many middles, into so much anxiety, is that you build tolerance, right? Like being stuck builds resilience to being stuck. And that resilience helps you get unstuck, because your body, your mind, it can only handle so much anxiety. Has this ever happened to you when you've been crying about something and if you're having like a really hard, ugly cry, at some point you have to taper off. Like, you cannot sustain that level of intensity for a long period of time. So your body, your mind, they stretch and they make room for more over time, right? So in the moment, you reach your threshold. But over time, things that used to make you freak out, if they keep happening, you just freak out less, right? So the thing doesn't change. It doesn't become less stressful or less messy or less anxious, but you become better at dealing with it. Like with me and COVID. So what used to freak me out about COVID is just way less intense now. It's been a while, right? So I'm more accustomed to the hand washing and the mask wearing, and I'm at home because of a government mandate and this like invisible airborne virus that sometimes kills people and like sometimes just doesn't even make a cameo, right? So the situation hasn't exactly changed, but I have. I'm more comfortable being in the uncomfortable middle for this like unknown period of time. And we all are, right? We've all been through a lot in the past few months. And in our scramble for resolution and clarity, which is a human reflex, to get out of the middle of the icky thing that we're in, we have kind of hit a dead end, right? It's like this movie-like scenario where, actually the chaos that the world is in right now is not about to let up. What was Corona has now had this like complete plot twist with the focus shifting to George Floyd and the global racial dialogue that's erupted and this push for equal treatment of races. And so here we thought the middle would be shorter and quicker and only the pandemic. And now actually it's so much longer and bigger and there's other middles. So what now? Well, pressure makes diamonds. I don't know exactly, but I know it's true. And it's something I think about a lot, because what's good about that is from all of this middle, like being in the middle, we have this kind of takeaway, right? For all the muck the world is under and in and working its way through right now, it's kind of been sharpening your ability to stand in the middle, to not be stuck, but to stand in the middle, like to be in the middle of something big and unknown and uncertain and unclear and so many uns, and to build resilience there. And that is so powerful. It is huge, because right here, right when you feel stuck in the middle, that's the place that we can create. Maybe as creatives, as entrepreneurs, maybe in our career, in our relationship, we can do something new or make something new, try something new, because that kind of novelty, that new idea you're chasing, or this unique approach or brainstorm or first ever conversation you want to have, or something different you want to build, those things can only really come out of like this edge, being pushed into this uncertain, this unknown. It can only really come out of the middle, right? Because the middle, being in the middle, is vulnerable. It is hard and it's scary, and you are completely exposed in the dark. And great and creative and new things kind of have to be birthed out of this place. They have to be birthed out of the middle, of the vulnerable. And you're right there. We're right there. We're in the dark, on the cusp of that middle management greatness. Cool, right? That's it for today. I hope you're having a fabulous week, enjoying the sunshine if it is peeking its head out. And I will see you back here next week.